From Reminder Media, this is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business. Hosted by the VP of Marketing, Josh Stake, and Reminder Media's president, Luke Acree. So get ready to hear the golden nuggets that will allow you to live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Stay Paid Silver Dollars, Luke. Yes. We are halfway through the year.
We hope you guys are enjoying these silver dollar
believe it. Huh?
Episodes.
We do?
I said, I hope they are enjoying these silver dollar episodes.
I hope so too.
It is hard to believe we're halfway through the year.
Yeah.
It flies by.
Yeah.
But I'm glad, you know?
Yeah.
You must be doing something great when it's flying by like this. That's
well,
what
hey,
that's what I tell myself to encourage myself.
Halfway through the year means one thing. It's time to talk about goals again.
No, I'm just kidding.
Keeping track of your goals throughout the year is critical to your success, with 92% of people that set New Year's goals never actually achieving them. 92% of people do not achieve their New Year's goals. It's clear that we have a real problem with commitment and follow through. So the question is, how do you hold yourself accountable to your goals? And we are going to go through our top 3 tips today.
Yes. So I'll walk you guys through to give you a little bit of context. So we have about 100 sales reps. We do one-on-ones with each sales rep every month. I'm going to walk you through the structure of our one-on-ones, and we can talk about it and point out tips there. But one sub-tip that I'll give you before we start. You know why most people fail at their goals? What'd you say, 97%?
92%.
92%. It's because you write them down one time a year.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, write down your goal every Monday or every Sunday, and you've written your goals down at least 52 times a year. Who has a better chance of achieving the goal?
Yeah.
The person who writes it down one time a year or 52 times? Mm-hmm. Let alone if you did it Monday and Friday, and you're, what?
Yeah, I think Grant Cardone says every day he does 3 goals. One is what he wants to achieve for the day. One is what he wants to achieve in his life. And then the other one is a unachievable goal, something that he has no shot of achieving.
Yeah, it's the BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. What book is that out of?
That is out of Good to Great.
Good to Great.
Yeah.
Great book. All right, so here's our one-on-one. So what we do, this is the framework we walk through with the sales caller that you should walk through with your people or yourself. One is we start out with the goal, is reviewing, okay, what is your goal? And this is, twofold. One is your technical goal for the month. So what was your goal for the month? Or if you guys, it depends how your business is run, if it's on a 2-week basis, a month basis, a quarter basis. But what was your goal for the month? What's your annual goal? And then what are your kind of why goals? Meaning, like, what drives you? What's your why? It's so important that you reference back to that why every time you go to the tactical of the goal. So your why might be, hey, I want to provide a way for my kids to go to private school. Mm-hmm. That's my goal this year. In order to do that, I got to make $120,000 a year. In order to make $120,000 a year, I need to close 600 sales this year.
Yep.
Right? And so you're reviewing, right? And then from goals, then you go to step 2, which is, I believe, one of the most important parts of the process, which is there's only 2 reasons why you don't hit your goal. Effort or ability. It's very, very simple when you frame it up. You just go, there's only 1 reason or 2 reasons why you don't win, why you don't hit number 1. It's either your effort or your ability. Effort, I love because it's simple. Meaning, like, right now, sitting in your car listening to this, wherever you're at listening to this, are you putting in the effort that is needed to hit your goal, i.e. the dials per day? How many real estate agents are listening to this? Did you do your prospecting today? And if you didn't, if you're not consistently doing your prospecting, why would you expect to achieve the results? Then that gets into really the ability side, which is when you go, okay, I'm putting in the phone time. So with my reps, if they're putting in the hours per day that they should be, they're making the dials they should be, but they're still not having the success towards their sale, then it gets into the reverse engineering.
Yep.
It gets into understanding, well, where in the process are they failing? So a good metric we track is dials to close, or hours on the phone to close. So we can tell very quickly, wow, you're struggling in getting people to close, but you're having conversations. So if you have a lot of phone time, but you don't have a lot of closes, it means you are struggling with objection handling, or you're struggling really getting to the order, but you're not struggling engaging. You're not struggling having rapport, keeping people on the phone. Yeah. And so we can narrow in and set some objectives of how do we help you on these objections.
Well, the ability also leads to your preparation. Are you preparing yourself? Are you doing the things and doing the learning that it takes in order to be able to reach that next level in your ability?
Everything comes down to it can be tracked.
Yeah.
And the only reason you don't want to track is what you're talking about. It's your preparedness. It's your laziness. Like you don't want to track everything you're doing. But if you track everything you're doing, it points you literally to where you're messing up. So you go from goals to performance.
Yep.
So that's ability and effort. And then you go into the third step, which is self-development.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is key, and because people a lot of times, well, how do I put this? We as humans are not robots. So even though it's simple and going, well, look, every 108 dials I close a deal. And if I want, 2 deals a day, well, I need to make 216 dials, right? So it's like, it should be simple in that mind, but we as humans can't function that way for some reason because we're emotional beings, we're spiritual beings, whatever you want to talk about, that you have to speak to the heart of people. And that's the self-development side.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's obviously a lot of things that you can do in order to develop yourself personally. There's tons of things we can talk about. We talk about listening to podcasts, right? We talk about reading books. What is it that the average CEO reads 60 books a year or reads 4 to 5 books a month? The average versus I think it's 7 for
I was going to say
earning
1,
less
7. You're being generous. I was going to say the average American reads 1 book a year.
But look, this also comes down to time management, right? How are you managing your time and are you protecting it? We had Sam Bacht here on the podcast. This guy's $100 million CEO. He says the key to his success is that he took control of his calendar, scheduled every minute of his day, and began guarding his time like his own children. He uses a great example of time versus money, which is more valuable. Right? Which one are you managing more? How many people are so much more better at managing their money or not willing to throw their money away versus most people would say time is more valuable. But yet, how are you managing your time and are you throwing your time away?
That is the golden nugget.
He said
he
went on this huge rant. I love it. He went on this huge rant about people during quarantine that finished Netflix and how they're like, what do you do during quarantine? I finished Netflix.
Tiger King.
What are you doing? What are you doing with your time?
It's your
so
most
making
valuable.
sure that you are time blocking, that you are scheduling every minute. We had Tom Ferry on the podcast. He talked about having every single 15-minute chunk of his calendar scheduled out. And it's really the discipline that comes in, which will lead to the self-development.
Dude, and successful people, they do more and they realize in doing more, they can do more.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. I don't know what you would call that in principle of like what happens in nature, but the more I do, the more I realize I can do. Versus a lot of people have 3 things on their calendar, like I'm so busy today. And they don't, like if you chunk it down to literally like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can do so much. I love using the framework of body, mind, and spirit because I really think self-development is in those 3 core components. So if you think about your body, you think about the food is fuel. And what are you eating? Like literally, what are you eating? And there's a reason why you feel bad.
Coffee.
If you think about your sleep.
Oh, you weren't asking me?
Yeah, coffee. Josh does literally just eat coffee. It's the weirdest thing. Have you
I
ever
didn't
watched
eat until
someone
10 o'clock yesterday.
Eat liquid? It's very wild. We'll have to film Josh eating liquid. It's very
We're
interesting.
starting a TikTok, so that could be one of our TikToks. How to eat coffee.
But your body, like you think of the fuel you're giving it, that's the food.
Yep.
You think about the energy you're giving it, and that comes from, your sleep and the relationships you have from that perspective. But your sleep is so essential. How many of you are getting the necessary sleep that you need, or even think about your sleep? Man, there's so many good apps out there that measure your sleep cycles and all that stuff that's available to you for free. And then you have, your body, mind, and spirit. So your mind, that is so influenced by what you feed it. Your mind is like the bank account. What you deposit in when you need to take out, you got to get what you put in. So if you put in Tiger King, you're going to get out Tiger King, right? So if you put in a book, if you put in a...
Hey there, cats and kittens.
Carol Baskin. No, but you're going to do that. And people don't see it that way. They don't see their mind and their spirit as a bank account. As everything you're reading, you're watching, the relationships you have, you're feeding that bank account, and you're going to draw from that bank when you need it.
Speaking of sleep, are you a night person or a morning person naturally?
I'm naturally a night person.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
So you've trained yourself to get up in the morning, which is very interesting. Biologically, we all have what's called a circadian rhythm, and you are biologically attuned to either being a night owl or a morning person. And so if you're a night owl, this is not something that's going to come naturally to you. You have to work towards it. You have to get disciplined in order to function or to manage your sleep time, the time that you're giving your sleep. And then if you want to move towards this, you don't have to. We have a lot of people on the podcast. Some people said, I don't, super successful people say, I don't get up until 10 o'clock.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but look, if you want to apply some of these principles that we're talking about, the most important thing is make sure that it's structured. Make sure that you're doing it purposefully.
The routine. It's all about the routine.
I wanted to, I pulled an article because I wanted to give people something tangible that they could actually use. And this was from Inc. So there's a series of steps. And Luke, jump in whenever you want to speak speak to any of these, but the first thing that you want to do when looking at personal development, because it's such like an amorphous object to start tackling. I think the mind, body, spirit is a great framework that you can focus on. But the first thing that they recommend doing is conducting a thorough needs assessment. So this is looking at what you need to develop on, then determining your target issue. So take one small thing that you want to improve on, read several sources and approach to deal with that target issue. So make sure this is where the books come in. This is where the podcasts come in. This is where looking up articles online come in. Consult with others. So this is where a mentor, if you have a mentor in your life, consult with them or find an expert in the field that you can talk to them about that subject. Apply one aspect gradually. So again, it's just breaking it down. Just like we talked about, breaking it down to one small thing that you can apply, doing it gradually. Maintain the behavior for 3 months. Review and document your progress. So critical here. A lot of people aren't reviewing, and that's forcing you to think about what you're doing. So why don't we review and document? Because we're probably not doing it. If you're doing it every single day, you're probably going to be excited that you're doing something, you're achieving something, you want to document that. Then go and modify your plan or select a new technique. If you're not getting the results you're looking for, repeat that. So after you do that, repeat it. Then the last thing they say, which I think is super important, is to, if you've done this 3 times for something and you failed, you've tried 3 techniques to improve one thing, go seek out a professional. Go talk to someone that can help you with it. And then, but again, it's all about being very purposeful, very structured with it, reverse engineering it, just like you talked about with the why. If I know what my why is, how do I reverse engineer that to hit my KPIs? And that's a framework that you can use. We also have a lot of free resources in our resource library. So if you go to remindermedia.com/resource-library, we have a lot of stuff there as well.
No, that's so good. It really comes down to just the commitment. It comes down to everybody can have abs. So few of us do. Josh and I definitely don't, but we want them. But it's easy to get them. It's not hard. You got to eat healthy. You got to exercise, all that good stuff. But it takes that commitment to doing it. And it's the same for every area that you hate. Stop saying things that you hate about yourself if you're not willing to make any changes.
Yeah.
Because you're just bringing yourself down. If there's something that you hate that you do,
we have
focusing on this framework that Josh just laid out for you. It's actually really, really good.
We have one of our core values, right, is extreme ownership. And we wanted to say, like, I think whenever we first wrote it, it was, I can't remember if it was like, don't
own
complain.
the problem, own the solution.
Well, we rewrote it, to say own the problem, own the solution, versus like, don't complain about it if you don't have a solution for it, because there's value in the complaint. But like you said, don't complain if you're not willing
if you're not going to do anything about it. Like the things that you hate about yourself, you can change. You're in control of your destiny. Even your thought process, even if it's a physical trait that you have that you don't like, it's like rewire your thought process. And I know that's aggressive, but it's the truth. Do some research out there. There's some powerful stuff on rewiring your thought process and your foundation, your identity, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Actually, we want to give a shout out to producer Ariel's friend, Peter. He left us a review on iTunes, and he actually said, like, hey, one of the things I'd love to hear is more about personal development and some more specific tangible
Hope that
things.
helps, Peter.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you check out this video and those links that we mentioned. You can find those over at staypaidpodcast.com. We would love to earn your support for the show. There are 2 ways that you can do it, and they're both incredibly free. Totally free. Not a single dollar having to be spent. The first is to head on over to iTunes, leave us a comment and a 5-star review. That helps the podcast get seen by more people. And the second way is to tell a friend. That's the best way to grow anything, is through referrals. That's what we believe here at Reminder Media. Grow your business through the relationships that you have. So we would love to earn your referral if you could tell a friend about the podcast today. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. You can also find us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. You can find Luke Acree on Instagram. He is at Luke Acree. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree. Guys, imagine the good karma you're going to have when you leave a review and just the nice thing you're doing for Stay Paid community and how it's going to come back to you. That's my sales pitch to you. No, but seriously, we appreciate all your reviews. We appreciate you sharing it. Here's the action item. Actually, as Josh was reading it, I thought it was super powerful. Do the needs assessment. I think that's really powerful for people to write down the needs assessment. What is it that you want to change? Because, the first step to change is recognizing what you need to change, right? It's becoming aware that you have a problem or aware of something that you want to change. I love the idea of the needs assessment, what you're looking for, what you need. So take action on that. Remember, the difference between a top producer and a mediocre producer is top producers take action.
So take action on that today.